Now, it's still all about the COP27 ongoing now in Egypt as heads of governments and institutions congregate at the International Climate Summit in Egypt to discuss solutions to climate change. Part of what has come out of this, so what we are seeing is a deal between the UK and Kenya to accelerate the implementation of climate projects worth 500 billion shillings. That's $4.1 billion in the East African country. Mercy Milanoy, business reporter in Kenya, joins me to discuss the impact this deal will have on the Kenyan economy. Hi, Mercy, it's good to have you on the program. Hi, Mercy, I think you need to unmute your mic.
Oh, let me see.
So, Mercy, how significant, just give us a picture, how significant is this climate deal for Kenyan economy in the near term?
Well, it's quite significant because as we speak currently, Kenya is going through a lot in terms of the effects of climate change. We have had delayed rains, which of course has affected food security in the country. At the same time, also we have had lakes overflowing, such as we had an incident with one of the lakes in Lake Bogoria, Lake Baringo, which overflooded and of course affected a lot of people. So definitely the financing comes at a time where Kenya is in dire need, of course, of funds to mitigate issues to do with climate change. And of course, with the agreement between Kenya and the UK, part of the money will go towards Tana River to do hydropower. And of course, Kenya has been quite at the forefront in terms of clean energy. Currently, we have geothermal power, which has been facilitating Kenya's power for the longest time. And now we are trying to head on to hydropower. So according to President William Ruto, as at yesterday, he said that, of course, part of the money will go towards production of hydropower, about 1 gigawatt of power that will be produced from Tana River in Kenya. And also now the rest will go ahead to irrigate more than 400,000 hectares of land, and of course to ensure that Kenya is food secure. Now, the interesting thing is that part of the area around Tana River where, of course, the hydropower project will be taking place, the government had implemented quite a big project for agriculture known as the Galana Kulalu irrigation scheme, and that was supposed to produce enough, especially maize, dry foods, so that they can be able to boost the country's food security. So it is quite significant to see that the efforts are still being put in place, especially for irrigation, especially now at a time where we cannot depend on rain-fed agriculture, which has been the case in Kenya. This year, it has proven quite well that you can depend on rain-fed agriculture. Currently, we have hundreds of thousands of Kenyans who are facing starvation. And of course, now these efforts to put up the land for irrigation and also at the same time to produce hydropower, it will be quite significant for the Kenyan economy.
Interesting development going on there. We do know that most of the promises, the leaders after COP or during COP, they tend to overpromise and under-deliver. So we're just hoping that doesn't happen in this instance, Milanoy. But how would I just want to know, you mentioned different sectors now, the agriculture, and we're talking about irrigation, water, resources. How would the ESG companies benefit from this deal?
Well, the Kenyan government has been at the forefront, of course, to encourage companies to be ESG compliant. Currently, we have about 7 of the 63 companies listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange that are ESG compliant. And of course, for now, it's a lot of incentives and being thrown out there to ensure that more companies join and become ESG compliant. And of course, in the long run, also have efforts and of course strategies in place to ensure that they reduce their carbon print. We have companies in Kenya that have really done quite well. We have the largest telecom company, Safaricom, that has really even been putting out and even issuing out the sustainability report to just ensure that, first of all, they're sustainable, they're running a sustainable business, and they're ESG compliant. Also, at the same time, we have East Africa Breweries Limited, also here in Kenya, that has been quite ESG compliant, and they've been very vocal in terms of their sustainability measures. And it's not just about just having a corporate, just doing it for corporate, but also ensuring that they make an impact in the places that they are doing business.
Okay.
For instance, with East Africa Breweries, they've been really massive with empowering farmers to be food secure and, of course, give them farm inputs to ensure that they do sustainable agriculture.
Okay.
Safaricom, on the other side, has also been doing a lot of projects to ensure that there's water, that children are educated. So all these companies have just been putting the best foot forward to ensure that they are sustainable and that they impact the environment and the economy and the people around them well.
It's good to know that we see that one of the projects to be implemented is the development of a smart railway city in the capital, Nairobi. But as we know, this is not the first smart city project to be proposed in Kenya. Tell us about that.
Well, it's not, you're right, it's not the first one. Initially, a few years back, we had the Vision 2030. And part of the Vision 2030 was to have a smart city called Konza Metropolis. So Konza was to, of course, the project is still ongoing. They're still putting up infrastructure in place. There are a few companies that have already signed up to set up shop there. And it was simply to ensure that, of course, number one, it's a smart city, it's very technological driven, and at the same time is to simply tap into the tech talent in Kenya.
Okay.
Of course, Kenya is known as the Silicon Savannah, so it's simply just trying to see how they can tap into the tech talent, while at the same time to use as much technology as possible to reduce carbon print and ensure that the city is smart-led, and the companies that will set up shop, of course, will be using a lot of tech to operate.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Mercy Milanoy, business reporter, Kenya, for sharing your perspective with us. And we do hope we keep track of what's happening in COP27 and more developments coming up there.